Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to FTA's Office of Research, Demonstration, and Innovations webinar on mobility, access, and transportation insecurity. My name is Brian Jackson with FTA's Mobility Innovation Group, and again, welcome to everyone who's joined us so far. Today, we're going to share some details of the NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity, that was released earlier this month on August 9th. And which closes on October 11th. And we're also going to take an opportunity to answer any questions that you all may have, which we offer the opportunity for you all to do so. Share your questions with us via the chat. But before we do that, let me jump a little bit into the logistics. First off, we have one of our colleagues, Natalie Coble-Fontaine, who will be taking your questions via the chat and serving as a moderator towards the end of this conversation. So again, feel free to share your questions as my colleagues and I go through the slides over the next hour. And the responses to your questions as they come in will be added to the FAQ, frequently asked questions, part of which is already posted on FTA's website and will be refined over the next few days, over the next couple of weeks, in response to any questions that we get. And I see we have one question that just came in. Will the slides become available? I believe we will make these slides available as part of the FAQs, as part of the existing website on MATI, Mobility, Access, and Transportation Insecurity, over the next few days. And yes, the same thing goes for the recording as well. All right, so just as a reminder, sort of alluded to this, this webinar is being recorded. And again, yes, it will be posted to the MATI website, our program webpage, over the next few days. And we do have closed captioning available for those who need it. And there is a link available in the chat. So for those who may need captioning, let us know. And if you don't see the link, we'll be sure to include it there as well. So again, my name is Brian Jackson. I'm with FTA's Office of Research, Demonstration, and Innovation, and I'm joined by my colleagues whose voices you'll be hearing throughout the course of this presentation. They include Justin John, also with our research office, along with Rick Upstelton. And we're also joined by our colleagues with the FTA's Office of Program Management, who will be talking a little bit about the application, the actual application process via USDOT's Grants.gov process later on in this presentation. And I'll let them introduce themselves once we get to that point. All right. What will we be talking about? We're going to go over the vision and goals of the program. Also going to lay out the program lead's role, which you all may have already surmised. If you had a chance to read through the NOFO, is different, very different than some of the NOFOs that FTA has released, FTA's research office has released in the past. We're going to discuss what goes into the application. We're also going to go over the evaluation criteria, as well as explain the application process, as I alluded to before, the Grants.gov process that our colleagues from FTA's Office of Program Management will get into later in this presentation. And again, towards the end, we'll be answering any questions as they come through the chat. I thought it was really helpful, impactful to include this quote here. Some of you may be familiar with it by James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. The transportation insecurity, as you may have read through our NOFO, some of you may already be familiar with it, is on the level of what we believe housing insecurity. or food insecurity, and that it's the condition where people are unable to regularly or reliably satisfy the travel necessary to meet their daily needs of life. We know nationally there are well-established policies and programs that aim to address food insecurity and housing insecurity, but not transportation insecurity. There's a growing body of research that shows transportation insecurity is a significant factor for persistent poverty. So what we hope to do with this program is develop and implement demonstrations that augment public transportation to mitigate transportation insecurity, and subsequently evaluate the outcomes and effectiveness of those interventions. This program, we're also going to document the impacts and potential strategies to transportation insecurity and subsequently disseminate it throughout the public transportation industry. So what are we seeking with this notice? We seek a program lead to support the planning, deployment, and evaluation of research demonstrations that provide the transportation resources necessary to implement targeted strategies that we feel will help to mitigate transportation insecurity for a defined population, as well as determine the value of that mitigation to both individuals and communities. Program management and coordination. Overall program management will be the responsibility of a prospective program lead, as well as the oversight of the partners and any and all subrecipients that are part of a forthcoming proposal of a to-be selected program lead, along, of course, with close coordination with FTA, which will include the strategic planning and reporting of all of the analysis and the evaluation that's done as part of this program, and of course, compliance with any and all applicable federal policies and regulations. So having said that, I'm going to transition over to my colleague, Rick Opstelten, who's going to talk about the required task under this NOFO. Rick.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian, and good afternoon, good morning, all of you participating. Thanks very much for taking the time to let us explain in a little bit more detail some of the activities that we are looking for the lead to take part in, or frankly, to lead, for lack of a better word, through the program. So Brian, a second ago, outlined in general the three primary activities that the lead will be responsible for. I'm just going to delve a little bit farther into some of the details of what that means. Brian mentioned that the lead will be responsible for the overall management and coordination of the MATI program. That means that in your applications and through the program management process, applicants have a great deal of leeway in determining how resources are used, but we'll have responsibility for ensuring that the resources brought to bear and the budgets brought to bear are used in a way as to make the program successful. And of course, to comply with all of the regulations that would come upon the program as a result of its work with FTA. We note here as well that a lead is responsible for the oversight of any partners or subrecipients that are part of the package of those involved in supporting the MATI program. We know that we are asking for a very broad range of skill sets to be brought to bear to see this program be successful. Those include things like human-centered design, research planning, data analysis, very strong engagement with diverse communities at a very local level. There are a broad set of skills that would be required to successfully complete the work that we've set out in this NOFO. And so we expect that there would be partnerships. I should note that those of you considering application in the program, a package of partners coming together in one application through the competitive process will be determined to have met FTA's requirements for competitive procurement. Just keep that in mind as you're planning your partnerships in response to the NOFO. Again, as Brian mentioned, The lead will be our single point of contact with the FTA team overseeing the MADI program, and will be responsible for working with us to ensure that the program meets FTA's strategic goals, responsible for all of the reporting that comes from the program and from their subrecipients and down the chain, and as I said, to ensure compliance. And we, as a cooperative agreement, will be working very closely with the selected lead to to ensure that the program is able to be flexible and agile and respond to the changing realities that we'll likely find ourselves in over the course of the multiple years this program is expected to operate. The heart of the MADI program is a two-stage demonstration effort. In the first stage, we're looking for the lead to conduct the outreach necessary to recruit a group of applicants who will be chosen competitively, applicant communities, I should say, who will be chosen competitively, at most 10 of them, to be engaged in a human-centered design process that would result in the development of a fully implementable plan for a research demonstration that would, to harken back to what Brian said was our goal, provide for mobility, access, and transportation security for a population selected and to be studied for a period of 2 years, and to derive from that research benefits to the study participants and to their communities more broadly. So stage one is a human-centered planning and design effort. Stage two is the implementation of a subset, we're calling a maximum of 5, of the demonstration plans that would be developed under the first stage. And of course, all of the related data collection and analysis work that would be required to ensure that the demonstrations are completed in a way that provides for useful and valid data that answers the research questions that we put forward through the program. And of course, the dissemination of findings from this research for the benefit of the country as a whole. Again, this is a cooperative agreement, so we are working together for the benefit of the community, we, FTA, and the selected participant as our program lead. I've touched on these points. The first stage, of course, competitive process for planning, and then the demonstration deployment for a subset of those. One thing I want to note on this slide is that the demonstration process, the stage 2, as noted in the NOFO, should include a plan for what we're calling off-ramping, essentially ensuring that those participants in the local studies would not be left high and dry without any of the supports that they would have likely come to rely on in the 2 years of the study period. We fully anticipate that people will see benefits to their lives, will make changes and perhaps choices in their lives thanks to their participation in the program, and we want to ensure that there is some plan for a sort of soft end to the study period. The lead selected through this notice will also be responsible for cohort management. That is essentially bringing together the participating communities in both of the stages, in virtual and in-person gatherings, to do a number of things to help us to understand what's happening, what kind of impacts are being felt in the communities as the process develops, but also to ensure that there is consistency in some approaches, and that we have an opportunity to provide feedback to and among the participants in the two-stage process. The lead should also be able to develop a means of measuring the impacts of the kinds of coordination and interaction that would happen as a result of these cohort management activities. A key part of the lead's responsibility will be to ensure that we have a structured research framework that both answers the questions that will be put forward in locally developed research plans, and that is able to tell a story of national significance. And in order to ensure that we're gathering data and using metrics and telling stories that have that kind of national potential impact, we, as FTA, will facilitate, in partnership with the chosen lead for the MADI program, a research advisory committee that would be comprised of stakeholders from other parts of the DOT and other parts of the US government, as well as other potential experts in areas of concern for the demonstrations that will work together to comprise, that would provide input on the research questions to be studied in each of the study locations to ensure that they are really answering the right questions that can help us to tell that story, that there's data collection processes in place that answer those questions, and that the findings, when they are produced at the end of the research, can indeed move the needle in the understanding of some of the key metrics that we face as a society. The lead will also be required to ensure that they support consistency in and validity in the research conducted by each of the communities. By example, assisting with institutional review board processes. And as I had mentioned previously, the lead will be responsible for compiling a synthesis report that addresses the findings of the program overall. So that then a quick summary of what we expect to be done. I will ask now Justin to speak a bit more about the process for application.
Thank you, Rick. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk briefly. Main question is, can you be our partner? Who is eligible to become a program lead for our MADI program? We talked a lot about the program lead's responsibilities, the program lead's role. So now we want to talk about who's eligible. And there's various eligible applicants for this program. First being departments, agencies, and instrumentalities of the government, including federal laboratories. I want to be clear as well that it could be federal government, state government, or local government in terms of eligible for departments or agencies of the government. We also have institutions of higher education, including research universities, particularly those with minority serving institution status, nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations, and technical and community colleges. And all of these organizations, entities are eligible to become a program lead for the MADI program. Eligible applicants have to demonstrate various activities and expertise for this program. We are seeking a program lead who has experience conducting research focused on various issues, particularly civic issues, things that are linked to the current administration's priorities, such as being environmentally friendly, addressing equity and mobility, things that are very central to the role of the MADI program itself in addressing mobility, access, and transportation insecurity. We talked about this previously about really pushing that community person-centered design, really being a valuable focal point, a valuable link between city agency governments and the actual person itself to help address some of these insecurities that we see at the various local levels across the country. Should have expertise in data and technology to support those various human functions and needs from getting from point A to point B, for hopefully bridging that gap to address transportation insecurity. And we also want to see expertise and experience in various innovation models, such as promoting innovation for mobility options, social services, urban spaces, public health, public safety, and related areas. So we'll talk briefly about the proposal content. The big thing on this slide is for those who might be familiar with the Grants.gov process, which we'll talk about next, one clear thing for the MADI program when we're looking at the application itself, we are not requiring a supplemental form. Instead, we are asking that you provide a narrative proposal. And this proposal has various sections for which we ask you, if you're interested in applying, to complete. We have page limits, so please refer to Section D of the NOFO for the required elements. Please adhere to the page limits. We want to be very clear on that, but also make sure that you provide that sufficient detail. Again, this is a narrative proposal we're asking to be submitted in Microsoft Word, Adobe Acrobat, or similar format. We hope that it's quite clear. And again, without using the supplemental form, we think this would be quite easy process to submit the required information for the application. One thing I also want to talk about briefly before we talk about the Grants.gov process is the evaluation criteria. Want to be clear here that the proposals received will be evaluated solely on the materials provided in the proposal document. So we have 6 evaluation criteria. First being the organizational capacity and key personnel experience. So your history, your role as an organization providing some of this expertise and research to address mobility and access insecurity, and who are the key personnel that will be serving as the lead to oversee the program itself. We'll also be looking at the proposal and the proposal team's technical experience. So it's stuff that we referenced earlier about experience working at the local level to address civic issues, experience providing human-centered design and the engagement between individuals and city-level organizations or local organizations to address these insecurities. Also want to have experience if there's any academic applied research or other maybe data-related experience to support this work. We also will be looking at proposed partnerships, the actual project approach and work plan, so how you address moving from stage 1 to stage 2, and then hopefully supporting these communities to off-ramping this and making this a sustainable local program beyond the federal funding itself. And then the technical, legal, and financial capacity as an organization to ensure that you are willing and have the capacity to exercise and deliver such a program for FTA. So to wrap it up, we just want to remind you that the program lead will be doing various things, but we want to work with you to showcase, quantify, leverage, transfer, and build this program. The idea is to really, support something that we see that's happening right now across the country, but provide some federal funds to help leverage this and make this more a reality across communities across the U.S. We understand that challenges can differ greatly within similar contexts, particularly within neighborhoods. But we want to look beyond certain urban-rural splits or even urban-urban splits. We want to be able to just address the core issue, provide mobility and access, and provide transportation security for individuals that need it the most. So with that being said, I'm going to transition now to my colleague Jonita to talk about the Grants.gov process and how you may apply for this. Jonita, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. I am Jonita Glover in the Office of Program Management. And this portion of the webinar will provide an orientation on the resources available to you, the applicant, on the FTA website, Grants.gov website, and on the application process. Next slide, please. So the FTA funding opportunities are published on the FTA website, the Federal Register, and on the Grants.gov website. We recommend that applicants begin their search and application process on the FTA Notice of Funding Opportunities webpage. So using the NOFO page as your start provides links to related information, websites, and resources to assist with the application process. To locate the NOFO page, you can go to FTA homepage, which is fta.dot.gov. At the top of the web page, you can select funding and then click on applying. Then select the notice of funding on the left side of the page. So the Notice of Funding page provides links to all the current or active FTA opportunities available. You can select the opportunity ID, which is the hyperlink to the FTA website NOFO page. So if you click on the grant program, that link brings you to the program page, which is sponsoring the discretionary funding. And if you would like to search for old or expired notices, they are also available on a separate menu directly under the Notice of Funding. Next slide, please. Okay, so as mentioned, the FTA NOFO page contains a summary of the opportunity announcement, important dates such as the application deadline, a brief explanation of eligibility requirements, and then links to Grants.gov. Additionally, it'll have the Federal Register notice and other relevant information about FTA programs. And then I will just make a note again, which Justin just mentioned, that for this particular opportunity, a supplemental form is not required. So you will not see any information related to a supplemental form. And you can then navigate directly to the Grants.gov site by selecting the blue hyperlink opportunity ID on the NOFO page, which is highlighted on the slide. Next slide, please. So once you select the blue hyperlink opportunity ID, you'll be taken to the Grants.gov site. And on the Grants.gov site, Grants Opportunity page, you'll notice 4 tabs, which is the synopsis, version history, related documents, and package. And this is also the location where you can begin to apply for the funding opportunity. So the synopsis tab provides similar information which we published on the FTA website, but it will also show you if any changes have been posted. In addition to, it also provides key dates and related regulatory references. The version history tab will just show a history of any changes made since the original announcement was posted. The related document tab will lead you to a folder which contains documents to the funding opportunity, and it will include the Federal Register notice and other related documents. And last, the package tab contains the references and links to download to apply for the opportunity. And so just to note that anyone can download the application package, but only those individuals who have been designated in Grants.gov as the authorized organizational representative can submit the application. Next slide, please. So this slide just depicts the contents of the application package available in Grants.gov, and that includes the mandatory SF 424, the lobbying form, and the attachment form, which is used to attach supporting materials for your application. Next slide. So applicants who have not previously applied on Grants.gov should visit Grants.gov and select the Applicants tab. And applicants who have previously applied, you are still encouraged to review the Applicants tab. And that's just to make sure that you have the latest information about the application process. Accessing the Applicants tab will walk you through the process of registering on Grants.gov, as well as help you to check to make sure you have the correct or compatible version of Adobe Acrobat. The site also provides training on the use of Grants.gov if needed. And then again, to note again that the Adobe compatibility check is on the site to ensure that you use the correct version in order to submit the application. It also allows you to download the software if needed. So in certain instances, if you encounter any technical issues, it could be that you're using the wrong Adobe Acrobat. So just please make sure that you have the most up-to-date. And now, recently, they in Grants.gov, it includes a big, bold, yellow banner to make sure that you check the compatibility. Next slide, please. Okay, so for new applicants to Grants.gov or federal funds, the Grants.gov site will assist the organization with the registration process and a system for award management, which is SAM, and with obtaining a UEI number, which is formerly the DUNS number. So if you're starting from the very beginning, the site will provide information to obtain that, your UEI number. Next slide. Okay, so during the application process, the registered organization can create a workspace in which grant proposal teams can collaborate in developing the application proposal. And so this workspace eliminates the need for emailing documents between team members outside of the system. And Grants.gov allow applicants a workspace in which assigned individuals can collaborate, share files, and perform various tasks to develop the application. And this is also the location in which the authorized organization representative can submit the completed application. So please review the workspace information and identify which team members who will prepare your application. And please review the roles and privileges, and just remember that only the authorized organization representative can submit the application. And so FTA is accepting applications submitted via Grants.gov from organizations only and not individuals. And the organization must be registered in Grants.gov. And again, all the information and pertinent links are available on the applicant tabs and Grants.gov to assist with the application process. Next slide. Okay, so last, if you encounter any technical issues or problems while submitting your application, please address those to Grants.gov. Grants.gov is not a FTA system, so any technical issues should be directed to them at that particular number or email. And if you have any program-related questions or issues, those should be addressed to the FTA program manager for the opportunity. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Justin.
All right. Thank you, Jonita. So we already noticed a couple of questions coming through the chat. We are going to use this time to address those questions and address any other questions that start coming in. We have answered a few, but please continue to deliver your questions. Chat pod is open. We plan to stay up to 3 o'clock to answer any questions that you may have. Some of the ones I want to just acknowledge first before I know we have our colleague Natalie monitoring the chat box. Yes, there will only be one award handed out for this program. A single program lead will be selected by FTA to implement and deliver this program. I know there was a question about, can you clarify what, some of the processes for the stages? So after the program lead has been selected and the program lead is starting to ramp up some of the kind of foundation for establishing the program, will be clear that the program lead will then initiate a competitive process for up to where up to 10 communities will be selected for stage 1, and which means the planning, sort of that coordination and development of an actual program plan to hopefully be selected for stage 2, which will be up to 5 communities for the actual demonstration to address those mobility, access, and transportation insecurity challenges.
Hi,
And
this is Natalie.
Natalie.
So Justin and rest of the team, a couple other questions that came up previously in the chat. So will the evaluation consider how the program lead decides to split up the funding? So they were asking like, so is the evaluation could consider how much money they budget for the demonstrations versus, program management and all of that?
Thanks, Natalie, for the question. If I could, this is Rick Upstelton. I'll jump in and give something of an answer. So we're looking for, in the narrative proposals, a description of how each of the applicants intends to create the greatest possible impact and ability to clearly address the challenges of the program that we set forth in the program. As I said, we leave it to your creativity and your thoughtfulness to structure your use of these funds and the resources to the best effect. But we are not requiring any particular division of resources or funds. And it wouldn't be, let me just put it this way, the budget should flow from the activities. And we're looking for the activities to make the best contribution to the goals of the program. I hope that's a somewhat explanatory answer.
And another question from earlier on, can you elaborate if there's any requirements for making partnerships?
Hey, Natalie, this is Justin. So the NOFO is clear in saying that eligible applicant does not have to partner with an organization to fulfill the requirements of the program, but due to the unique nature of it and sort of the required elements in terms of coordination, data management, overall planning, and cohort management, we anticipate that eligible applicants, those who seek to be a program lead, will come in with a partner or multiple partners. But we'll be clear that, again, the NOFO does not explicitly state that an eligible applicant has to partner with an organization. I hope that answers that question.
Awesome. So is there an expectation of how many communities will submit applications in that phase 1 competitive process? So there could be up to 10 selected, but do we have any estimate about how many are going to be competing?
I don't think we do. This is Rick again speaking. We hope that we expect that the lead in this program will do a thorough job in conducting the outreach necessary to recruit applicants, and we as FTA will work with the program lead to see that the biggest swath of communities that could benefit from the work of the program are aware of it and have the chance to take part, but I don't think we could estimate necessarily how many would be in the initial crop of applicants from which 10 would be chosen to take part in the first phase of the work.
So we have a question about application materials. So the package on Grants.gov does not have a budget template provided. Should applicants use SF424A or does it not matter?
I'll take.
Okay.
Yeah, Junita, actually, I was Junita. I was going to say if you wouldn't mind chiming in here.
Well, you'll have to use the SF424 that's provided. There is not a budget template, so yes, it'll be the mandatory SF424 form that's attached. And then there's the attachment form that's a part of the package as well, for any additional information that you want to provide.
And if I could add, this is Brian Jackson with FTA's research office. We would remind you to keep in mind there is one of the evaluation criteria titled Project Approach and Work Plan. And in that, we do explicitly note in the NOFO that we're looking for a clear understanding of all the activities, responsibilities, along with their associated costs that would be required to establish and implement the prescribed work that's included in a prospective program leads proposal. along with, the project milestones and the overall timeline, that ensures the viability of the project team in subsequent years.
So we have another question about clarifying the funding. So does this $6 million program lead award include all of the funding currently allotted for participants selected in both stages of the competition? And if yes, will the program lead administer this funding directly to the recipients?
The answer to that, this is Brian again. The answer to that question is yes. At this time, the total allotment funding allocation for the MATI program is $6 million. We did note in the note fold that the FTA leadership team may provide, prior to the actual award to a prospective program lead, more funding. But of course, that's sort of outside of the wheelhouse of the people who are speaking on this webinar right now, as that is completely under the purview of FTA's leadership team. But again, as of right now, the total allotment for this program is $6 million. And yes, that will be the program lead, prospective program leads to be determined, program leads calculus to determine how that $6 million will be allotted throughout the overall project/program.
And just to come back to the point, to make sure we're very clear, it will be the responsibility of the lead to ensure that the funds are used by any subrecipients, and the communities that we're talking about would be considered subrecipients for the purposes of management. That funding is administered in accordance with FTA's requirements and rules and the like.
So we have a good question about the definition of communities as used in this program. So asking for some clarification here, does this mean that the lead is going to choose communities within one geographic area, or does it refer to disparate cities or areas across the country? Answers to any of those would be great.
Yeah, this is again, Rick. I'll begin an answer, and if my colleagues want to potentially add more, I'd be happy to engage in some conversation here. So the notice indicates our interest in populations that can be quite narrowly defined within various kinds of urban contexts. We also, as we've explained in the presentation today, we seek to tell a story of the impact of mobility, access, and the mitigation of transportation insecurity that is kind of broadly applicable. So I don't think we have been so clear as to say it must be in different geographies, but it's our intent to be able to tell, as a result of this research, a story that has more broad sort of applicability.
Thanks for that answer, Rick. So another question comes in. So basically clarifying the activities expected of the lead applicant. So the lead is going to conduct a competitive process, select the community applications, make awards to those selected, perform grant management, sub-awardee, sub-recipient grant management oversight, and other things, pay invoices, require progress reporting, all of that. So basically asking, are all those activities expected from the program lead?
The answer to that question is a resounding yes. All activities, as we outlined in the NOFO, again, yes, would be the responsibility of the program lead in close coordination with FTA's research office.
Awesome. So I believe we have answered all of the questions that have come through in the chat so far. So if you have any other questions that haven't been addressed, please put those in the chat.
And Natalie, I was going to say just quickly, we also have established a DOT email box to support this program. So we'll put that email in the chat as well. Again, if you do not have questions at this time, do not hesitate to reach out to us via email. And we, again, do have currently drafted a frequently asked question document to support the application process. We will be updating that FAQ based off some of the questions we received today and some of the questions we may receive over the upcoming weeks.
And if I could add just one additional sort of logistical point, this was carried and addressed very well by our colleague Janita Glover from FTA's Program Management Office, but we would just caution you all, particularly those who are already existing FTA awardees and any who may be looking to potentially become one FTA direct recipient of FTA funds under this notice, to please double check your status under SAM, the federal government system of award management. We received a reminder overall that, for anyone who may have their SAM status on the cusp of expiring within the next 30 to 60 days, which of course would dovetail when the proposals for this notice are scheduled to be received. So again, just a reminder to go in and make sure that your SAM status is up to date, because we certainly don't want anyone to be disqualified because of something as it relates to their SAM status not being current.
Thanks, Brian. And looks like a couple more questions have come in. So per the terms of the FTA Master Agreement, will FTA permit the program lead to apply a fee or profit percentage on top of direct labor and overhead costs? Similarly, will FTA permit application of federally audited general and administrative costs on other project costs such as subrecipient funds processed?
This is Justin. I'm going to take a quick response to this, but we'll probably have to follow up on some of the technicalities of the question. But for example, this question, I think, in terms of a fee or profit, will be based on sort of the unique cost structure of said organizations, particularly looking at for-profit organizations. If you have a current structure, maybe for managerial and personnel costs based on time plus materials. If those are linked into your indirect cost from your organizational's approved indirect cost rate, that's a situation where I think that will be allowed. But certain sort of fee profit on top of that, we're working with our Office of Chief Counsel right now to make sure we have a clear answer to address those certain nuances, particularly for-profit organizations. In response to the second questions as well, we will provide a clear response as we update our FAQ.
Yeah, and if I might just, this is Rick again, add to the point of oversight. Justin has referenced the indirect cost, and for those of you who have an existing indirect cost rate established with a cognizant agency within the federal government, we of course will respect that established rate. You can otherwise apply for a rate with FTA if we should be deemed to be your cognizant agent. Another point that I would add is that you can apply indirect cost only to the first, I believe it is $35,000 of subrecipient funding. But that is something to consider as you are working through budgets, and we'll be happy to provide some additional links as we update the FAQ to reference some of these points.
Great. So are there any limits to the type of entities that might serve as the lead subrecipient?
Outside of the, go ahead, Justin.
No, beyond the list that was provided during the PowerPoint presentation, the list of eligible applicants is very broad. It's actually, if you look up the actual program within FTA's Public Transportation Innovation Program under the U.S. Code, all the eligible applicants for research activities for Section 5312 are eligible applicants for this program. So I want to make sure I think I hopefully answered that question correctly. But all the eligible applicants under Section 5312 are eligible to be a program lead to support the MADI program.
Justin, they clarified they're talking about the demonstration, the lead for the demonstration.
Apologies on that. Oh, so the demonstration leads, again, that would be something that we, I think Rick alluded to this earlier. Once a program lead is established and we start initiating those multi-stage process, we're really looking for local communities that I think once the program lead's on board, we will get into specifics, but we'll be focusing on urban areas. It could be maybe neighborhood level. It might be maybe a community business district, CBD potentially, or central business district. But we haven't clarified exactly the demonstration lead yet.
Thanks, Justin. And we had another question about if people can ask further questions, which Rick has answered in the chat. If you have any more questions that pop up after this webinar, please send them to mati@dot.gov. That email is in the chat. Another question that popped up here, asking clarify questioning. So are rural or non-urban neighborhoods not encouraged?
Our NOFO is, if you reference the NOFO, we're really looking to, for at least this first stage of what we're supporting the MADI program, we're really looking to focus on urban areas.
Can the program lead be a team of partners or just one entity?
Yeah, this is Rick. I'll take this one. As I mentioned earlier, while we are looking for one entity to be the single point of contact for FTA and to have the primary responsibility for the management of the program, we anticipate that there could be partnerships that are formed in response to this proposal. But we do expect there to be a single sort of lead applicant, as it were, but partnerships coming in together as a team in response to our solicitation are certainly permitted.
I think we've answered everything that's come through in the chat to this point. So we have about 7 minutes left until the end of the webinar. So please submit any other questions you have now.
I'll take a moment to allow any more questions to come through. Yep. Just allow a moment more. We're getting a good number of thanks, so I appreciate that, everybody. Yeah, okay. It looks as if we have the chance to give you back 5 minutes of your time. So thank you, everybody, for taking part. Appreciate very much the questions. Again, we will be updating the frequently asked questions document connected to the MADI page to reflect the conversation that we've had here today. We welcome your questions also via email to mati@dot.gov. We will ensure that any information we share to those who ask questions through the email is also provided to everybody through an update to the FAQ document. So please do reach out if you have questions. And thank you very much once more for your interest in the program. We look forward to some engaging and effective applications.
Thank you, everyone.